Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 9 of Exploring Divine Resonance. It's an honor to be with you as always. I want to welcome everyone who is participating here in the Zoom room, as well as everyone who is participating in the YouTube simulcast, as well as the podcast. It's an honor to continue our exploration together. It's an honor to share time with you today. As I've been sitting here meditating, opening into our time together today, I've realized that there is a little bit of a program shift that I'm going to bring to our time together today. On the agenda for week 9 was a process for mastery, and that'll definitely be here, but I'm not going to teach it. We're going to experience it. We're going to do it together. And I'll do a little bit of guidance as we move through the process. But I really want to shift from a dynamic that is focused on understanding to a dynamic that is focused on a being experience. And it seems to me like maybe one of the most powerful ways that we could do that would be for me to stop trying to teach and for us just to share an experience together. So, to set the stage, we're going to go through a process together, and we could call it a process for mastery, but let's even set the label aside. Let's call it instead an opening. let's call it this. This is the name of our group, the name of the circle. Let's call it an exploration of divine resonance, okay? And leave it at that. And so rather than more talking right now, I want to shift into the circle. I want to open space together. And so today we'll really just have 2 segments. This segment, opening, transmission, and so on. And then we'll have an interactive portion. So if you're on the YouTube channel right now and you'd like to be here in the Zoom room to ask a question or participate in this way with the class, you can always do that by going to exploringdivineresonance.com. Glad you're here. Let's open our space together formally, shall we? Setting everything else aside energetically, emotionally, physically, and otherwise. With your eyes closed, breathing in and out through the nostrils, if it's comfortable for you, palms to the sky, also if that's comfortable. As always, please don't operate a motor vehicle or heavy equipment of any sort during this or any time we're together. And as you find that place in the circle that resonates most for you energetically, deep breath in, hold, and as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before in this day, all the way out to the count of 8. And if you're looking for a tempo for your breath, it can be whatever you want it to be. But if you want to open your eyes, you can see me with my hands sort of indicating what the tempo feels like, to me at least. Far better to honor whatever is going on within you, including the tempo for breathing, the depth of breath, and how long it is that you hold or release each breath. In fact, it's essential to be with your experience before anything else, before anything I say, before any feedback I might offer, before any words that I might speak. before anything anyone else reflects on or asks about. The most important experience in this circle is your experience for you, whatever it is. Another deep breath in, hold, and as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since we last gathered. And if this is your first time here, since the first of the year, again, all the way out to the count of 8. Another deep breath in, hold, as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since you were born, all the way out to the count of 8. Another deep breath in, hold, as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since the inception of your soul, all the way out to the count of 8. See the breath. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. Be the breath. See the breath of the planet and how it serves you. In the same way, it serves everyone. By your breath, you are connected to everyone. The breath of the planet serves everything. by your breath. You are connected to everything. The breath of the planet becomes the breath of the cosmos, which serves everyone and everything, including that energy that is underwritten by the divine, a light originating at a great distance initially, drawing closer with each breath. With each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything throughout the entire cosmos. As the light draws closer, notice the twin frequencies intertwined such that there is no separating one from the other. Eventually, the light connecting in at your being, perhaps at your nostrils initially, and then instantaneously throughout every level, known and unknown. An invitation extended to each of the smallest aspects of you. Come, return to your natural state of resonance and alignment. The artifacts of dissonance falling away and gathering at the universal drain. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine. And the river is flowing. For whatever remains in separation, I invite you to remove the universal plug. I'll do the same. And with your permission, if you'd like to participate in the deeper transmission, let's begin. At any given moment, you feel however you feel. Emotionally, energetically, spiritually, physically. You feel however you feel. And if some aspect of what you're feeling shows up as dissonance in whatever way, with soul embodiment and you feeling whatever that dissonance is, it will transmute. Feel whatever is coming up. And if what's coming up is resonance, beautiful. Sink deeper and deeper into the resonance. Allow it to envelop you, for this is who you really are. If in the process of sinking in, some dissonance comes up, well, feel it fully. Allow it to express. And as you do, it will transmute. You don't have to hurry the transmutation process. Just allow yourself to feel whatever is coming up. You'll know it's been transmuted when in the wake of whatever was dissonant, resonance flows. But don't be in a hurry. The only thing that matters is to feel fully and express fully whatever is coming up. You might find yourself moving to a deeper interior experience that feels more resonant or that opens another experience of dissonance. Just be fully with whatever is coming up for you. You can't mess it up. You might be feeling nothing. Whatever it is perfect. If you are pushing, meaning trying to get to a different state, a different being experience, I really invite you to stop efforting and just be with whatever is. It will eventually transmute and open a deeper experience of resonance, no doubt. How long that takes and the process to get there, I have no idea. And if you think you know, you're probably just setting yourself up. Why suffer? Just be with whatever is coming up. Let it unfold of its own accord. A lot of resonance moving collectively in the circle through the third eye, a lot of enlivenment in the intuitive faculty. Just let it unfold. Be with whatever is unfolding in your being experience. So beautiful. So it's such a wonderful paradox as the transmission begins to shift into integration and the opportunity for interactive time together. I'll say this, if you're concluding with this part of the transmission, please do return the universal plug, knowing the transmission will come to a close. If you'd like to continue in transmission, but not engage in the interactive conversation, Q&A, et cetera, that follows, you can just turn the volume off and stay in the interior of your experience as the transmission continues. And if it's distracting or just today you just want to stay in that interior space, please do so. I'm going to make the transition now. Okay, opening into our second and for today, final segment together. A little interactive time. Can feel a lot of integration going on still. If you're just tuning in for this portion, I'm affirming the plug has been pulled. We have begun. It's self-appointed as always. You could just unmute yourself and ask a question or share a reflection if there's anything coming up.
I can.
Hello.
Oh, my picture. It's Angelica.
Hi, Angelica.
So lots of integration, and I'm not sure what happened, but I went to a place where I saw where I capped my own light. And that all the frustration, there's a lot of frustration today, which is great. But I went to like where I saw this, where I was the cap. I was the one who capped my own light from flowing in this life. And because I was releasing a lot of other people earlier. And I just don't know what you have to say about that, because I don't know, but just a lot of appreciation.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing and being here, Angelica. It's such a huge insight to come to that realization that the source of the noise is the separate self. It's so beautiful. What a place of incredible liberation to sit in. I just want to acknowledge and appreciate you for giving voice to that. I'm happy to reflect further and also to sit with you for a bit here. Is there anything coming up or that you want to give voice to?
It just feels like a lot of emptying right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. It's fascinating. Once that process begins, you know, the separate self can jump in. Well, what do I have to do to participate? But you don't have to do anything. It just goes on. It just takes over. It consumes. It floods throughout every part of your being. It's this beautiful expression and experience of divine love, of this light permeating everything without any limit. I love how clear your reflection is. I'm the one who capped my own light. That's so brilliant.
Okay. I'm laughing because my internal voice is telling me there are no caps in the mind of God.
Exactly.
It's making me laugh.
Exactly. It's brilliant, right? Because in separation, we have this tendency to look, what is the source of my limitation? But if we look close enough, there is no limitation. It's not real. And then what needs to happen to open to what is real? Just stay present. Be with whatever flows, right? Could be laughter, could be tears, could be rage, could be anything, grief. It might be physical discomfort. It might be a feeling of ecstasy. It might be all these things mixed together. And when all of that begins to open up, it just flows. It has its own momentum. Divine presence as you. That's why I think it's so beautiful, the language that showed up years and years ago. The river is flowing, right? This river of presence is moving as you, through you, in you, all the time. You don't have to cajole it. You don't have to stop it. You can't, in fact, although there may have been great effort. And then you get to the place where the dam bursts. Hallelujah. Here it comes. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Angelica, and for sharing this very powerful insight, and for your vulnerability and your authenticity.
Thank you.
One way to articulate this process that supports a deepening experience or an expanding experience of the divine mystery within would be to say, no matter what is going on, be present. And at least from my perspective, there's no more powerful experience of presence than to embody the soul. And so if what's unfolding is uncomfortable, soul embodiment is the other aspect of that alchemy, the experience of dissonance showing up, and soul embodiment. These two together, there it is. Transmute whatever's showing up. And of course, there's a continuum, but on the other end of the continuum is a deeper experience of presence, of resonance. And what to do then? Be present. Be present with that experience as it unfolds. And how to be fully present? Just deepen in the experience of soul embodiment. That's it. It really is that simple. We have a tendency as human beings to want to complicate things. In separation, there's lots and lots of stuff going on all the time. It's this, it's that. Got to keep track of details. This is causing that. I have to address it this way. But we can also just be present. Inevitably, it will open a deeper experience of resonance. And if resonance is already there, beautiful. My mouth is buzzing. I don't know if that means there are other questions or reflections coming up. But if there are, it's a wonderful time just to unmute your line if you're in the circle here. And if you're on YouTube or participating in some other way, you can always make yourself part of the circle by going to exploringdivineresonance.com, or you can leave a comment wherever you're participating, and I'll hope to receive it and respond to it either on that platform or in next week's class here.
Well, here I am. Hi, Ken. It's
Hi,
Susan.
Susan.
I just want to make a comment.
Okay.
When Angelica mentioned about feeling, well, the realization that she kept her own light, there was a sort of a bit of a aha moment. I'm going, oh, I think everybody does it, but it was like, yeah, I do that too. What I'm finding is happening right now is there's, as you're talking about letting whatever unfolds unfold, I'm feeling bored. It's like my self is going, there's nothing to do. There's got to be something to do.
That's great. Do you want me to comment, Susan, or shall I just listen? Be present.
Whatever you feel moved to do, it's fine.
Well, moving into an experience of wholeness is for sure, at least compared to an experience of separation, to the separate self, it is boring. As a separate self is addicted to drama. So drama shows up in lots of different ways, of course. But wholeness, what's the drama? There isn't any, right? It's just so I mean, you can think about it in lots of different ways, right? If, let's say there's something going on in life that's challenging, and I'm presenting this really boring process. I'm not saying, let's figure out what the source is. Let's address it in a particular way. Let's do this or that. That sounds much more interesting than this thing that we're doing here. This is boring by comparison, at least to the separate self. But think of it, to the whole self, what is there? There is just wholeness. There's nothing else. So seems like something to celebrate. This is a boring experience. I can tell. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as you're talking, I'm recognizing I spend my time looking for, well, seeking peace, what have you, but I'm addicted to other people's drama.
Right. Right. It's a wonderfully vulnerable and authentic thing to give voice to. It's true for everyone, I think. It's an incredible, again, the circle is always full of incredible insights, and here we have two very, very powerful points of insight, right? I'm addicted to other people's drama. I hear you.
And I'm always looking to tell them what to do about it.
Oh, yeah. Because there's got to be something to do, right? There's something to fix. There's a problem. I know what the answer is.
Even when the answer is do nothing, relax, let it go.
At least I'm participating. At least I've got something to do. I can save, I can rescue. Yeah. Yeah, the drama triangle is a really powerful dynamic. Really, really powerful dynamic. Stephen Cartman was the originator, or the person who saw that and articulated it first. So thus Cartman's drama triangle. And it's so incredible when you start looking at it, because there's a victim, there's a perpetrator, and there's a rescuer. And you could see this play out on so many different levels. I mean, it's just fascinating. It could be playing out within oneself. It could play out with two people, three people. It could play out societally, internationally, blah, blah, blah. To my perspective, it's Cartman's drama triangle is a late stage one kind of developmental dynamic. Very powerful.
And the thing is, the words, like, I'm not sure how to word this, but the words are meaningless. Like, unless I'm looking at my own experience and what I'm doing myself, you can describe it, but it means absolutely nothing.
Exactly. Brilliant. There is no substitute for the turn inward, for the meaning and awareness we come to of our own accord. And no matter what we might posit into the space of separation, and whatever meaning we might assign to it at the end of the day, we have to discover these things for ourselves. Doesn't matter who says it. Doesn't matter how it's labeled. And then eventually we turn inward all the way, and poof, a different experience is unfolding. A not so boring experience, but devoid of drama. Or devoid of drama, maybe is a better way of saying it.
If I can ask, where
Sure.
where did you get those pictures on your wall?
My sweetheart painted them for me. And there's a set of 4 here, and then there are 3 above them. And they're paint pours. If she were here, she would tell you instantly what she did, how you could do it, how she could take over this class and we could all do paint pours together. And then she would quickly go find the paint and start doing pours and show you how to do it. I think there's, is there silicone or something? There's something you put into the paint, and then when you pour it, it does something. It just does its own thing, kind of. So you're picking the colors and so on. So I appreciate the paintings very much, but at least so far, painting is not my one of my creative expressions.
This isn't painting. This is pouring. Every time I look at these, I see something completely different. And today I'm seeing animals, and it's just wow.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking about them. I think there's an open line. Janet, I don't know if you were waiting, but
I was waiting. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm very surprised how angry I was. And really angry. I don't normally see myself as angry, but in this particular session, it was really strong. And
wonderful.
I was so angry with the light, with God, with whatever, not being there for me. And the message, of course, was, I'm here. The anger was so loud, so noisy, so controlled. And the message that I got, and you can give me more insight, was, yeah, you want to control that anger. Kept you in control. So you weren't surrendering.
That's exactly right. What a great insight, Janet. That's huge. Do you see that?
I wish I was happy.
Yeah.
I do see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just see my expectations of what I thought that being in the light or being with source energy would look like. Like I had a plan, and that plan wasn't delivered.
Right.
My way.
Right.
But I didn't know that it was my way. I thought I was with loving intentions. I thought I was blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And yeah, pretty much came down to out of harmony, out of resonance, and pain.
Yep.
Now that's today's, but I have to say how grateful I am for these sessions. I've been through some amazing, deep financial work and brought up all sorts, but with your work and being able to stay present and feeling the discontent and feeling the resonance and being actually there and not running, not avoiding. I'm amazed when I look back on the last couple of weeks, how much the experience grew. It didn't get smaller, it expanded. So I'm very, very grateful for what you are teaching. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I mean, it's wonderful to hear. excited to hear about your experience, of course, and I love the sharing about anger. I think one of the things that happens when we sort of wade into spirituality is that it can be easy, or at least I found in myself and in people that I've worked with one-on-one and in groups that I facilitate, it's easy to have an idea of what we think spirituality means or what it's going to look like. And when that gets disrupted, oftentimes the template of spirituality, if you will, the imagined or the projected template, can quash these expressions, these feelings, anger and whatever. And I think that's so, I mean, it serves, no doubt. Every experience we have serves, but ultimately, it's my perspective, certainly in my own life, and I've seen this over and over again, many people in a variety of different situations, different beliefs, and so on. When we allow ourselves to feel what's actually coming up, it just makes way for a more complete experience of divinity. And that naturally opens us to sort of a process of surrender. And anyway, I just think you're giving voice to that in such a wonderful way. And I appreciate your authentic sharing. I think it's disarming to folks sometimes in circles that I facilitate when I celebrate, whether someone says I'm angry or some people will say, I'm really angry at you, Ken, and I'll start giggling. And they're like, I didn't expect you to respond that way. And I think it doesn't matter. Bring it on. Come on. Let's all be real. Let's sit. Let's be in the space and experience of what's really going on, because only there can we transmute. Only there can we open to a deeper experience of ourselves. So thank you, Janet. And I'm not trying to put an end to your comments. If you have more to share or ask about, don't hold back.
No, I think that's great. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Hi, I wanted to share something.
Yeah. Hi, Annie. Go ahead, please.
I'm glad Janet said she was angry, because I was not feeling positive. I was not having a desired experience. So I was glad other people may not have had that, like a higher vibrational experience.
Sure.
No, I know why. I think I know why it's coming up. I've been writing my little memoir for quite some time, and I think I'm going to have to go back and this has been coming up. Authenticity. I really sanitized it too much. I think, and it's just a story. I'm going to probably put it on my website. I'm just going to let what it is. But I know I am stalling on getting it to a final draft for editing, because it's not. I'm not being authentic. There's a lot of stuff in there, that probably could be transmuted. But I've sanitized it too much. And I was angry, when I was a kid. In certain situations, we all have this, I know. That this image came up while you were saying, you were like, go ahead, let what comes up, let it come up, transmute it. Well, it's all there begging. I thought I worked through this stuff, but I'm still that angry kid in some ways. And I think I've got to put a little more of that authenticity in the book from where I was sitting. But I don't want to upset my parents, because they have no clue what I was thinking. And I kept a lot of stuff from them. And I was on a bus. And a bus was a vulnerable place for me. I wasn't bullied. I wasn't picked on. But it went right back to this situation. And I turned around and grabbed this kid by the throat. In this so-called peaceful imagery I'm supposed to be having, transmuting it. And I empowered myself. I didn't want to hurt him, but I pushed him up against the wall of the bus and I said, leave me alone. And I felt I wasn't a bad thing. Like I didn't want to hurt him. I said, no, that's it. I don't want to, but it was me, I think, taking control. I know you're not supposed to, that's probably a lower, but I'm empowering myself, and I'm going to tell the story in a way that it's in the highest energy, but it's authentic. And I felt empowered to never be in that vulnerable spot again. But I think that happens to all of us, especially when we're kids. We're at a point of vulnerability. But 2 or 3 things came up like boom, 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 that were big, significant points in my life where I had that anger or not being understood, or my parents have no clue, you know, and if I tell them that, you know, if I put that in there, wow, they're not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be what they thought maybe. But anyway, that's the full story. I can tell the sanitized version, and you don't need to share everything I know, but boy, this really came up and whammo for integration. But for me, I can see, I never want to be in that situation again, but maybe I will be, and I'll handle it better. Maybe a little more maturely, but not in a point of victimhood, you know, where I'm looking for someone else to help me. Like I would be looking around, isn't somebody going to help me? I would be looking, pleading with the girl I'm going to be in course with next when we get to school, and she, oh, poor thing, you know, nobody's intervening. The bus driver's not even seeing what's going on. And I'm like, why didn't somebody, you know, I'm angry, why didn't somebody step in? And it was up to me to turn around and tell this kid to back off. And, you know, he was a messed up kid. He had a pocket knife, and he was twisting it in the back of my neck. And I was terrified he was going to shove it in my neck. Saying, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you, over and over again, all the way to school. And I'm trapped on this bus seat. I'm back there again. And I'm so mad nobody is helping me. Anyway, this kid was a messed up kid. I forgave him over and over again through the years. But I got to tell that story and make it authentic and make it productive and not just the drama thing. But because I don't think, you know.
Annie, I want to hold for just a second here and ask you a question. Are you open to a reflection? I know you're sharing things that are very, very vulnerable, and I appreciate you sharing them. And I wonder, are you open to reflection?
Yep.
So we could even work together on this for a second if you're open to it.
Yep.
Okay. So notice a couple of different things that are happening here, at least to my view. One of them is you had an experience that was where you were victimized. Legit, you were victimized, right? That's true for every human being, but I'm not saying that to minimize your experience. I'm saying that for the circle, okay? So you had an experience of being victimized, and probably there are lots of other experiences of being victimized that you had as well. But this one, it seems, is prominent right now for you. And notice how, excuse me, in the development of consciousness, notice how you are giving voice to the experience of being disempowered and unintegrated. Who's going to step in? And then the empowered experience and unintegrated, I'm going to advocate for myself. And then notice how there's another thing that's coming in that is, I want to share this, but how is this going to impact other people, my parents? And then a desire to have it be a certain thing. And I just want to suggest to you, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing so authentically and vulnerably. And second, I want to suggest to you that you have the raw materials for a profound experience. But the beauty is, we don't know. You don't know. I don't know. what is going to happen as a result of that. So we have no idea what the transmuted experience is. We just don't know. All we can say is that the charge, the unintegrated and disempowered dynamic goes away. But notice this, in stage 4, we still have disempowered experiences. The difference between 1 and 4 with regard to disempowered dynamics is that it's either integrated or unintegrated. And at least from my perspective, if we say the experience of integration is, and then there's just a big black hole in our minds or on the page, meaning an expression of the divine mystery, which is unknowable, then all the charge of what needs to happen or what you become, what I become, how we show up in the world, it goes away. There's no pressure anymore. And I mean, maybe this isn't the thing to do in a workshop dynamic right here, but if you want to explore it, you could even just replay the transmission today, or you could go into, you've got a huge library, you've got all sorts of resources available to you. But we could do it for 5 minutes. We could do it with the group again if you want to do it. But the key is to let go of the governor. Can you hear the governor that I'm reflecting to you? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Not quite. I think I do, but I'm not sure.
Okay, here's what I mean about the governor. The governor is the one it's like an upper limit container. I hear it when you say, I'm going to express this in a positive way with positive energy, or this dynamic was, I was disempowered, and then I found empowerment. It's like the governor is trying to package this up, but the governor, and by the way, that's not an unnatural response. It's perfectly natural and normal. We all do that. All I'm saying is, if you want to unwrap this all the way, let go of that governor, release the control, and let yourself feel fully the terror, the rage, the anger, the hurt, the fear. Many people in their experiences of victimization as kids have conflated the dynamic of disempowered and unintegrated with their relationship with divinity. And it sounds like this for many, many people, some version of this. Well, I don't want to surrender to God because God let fill in the blank happen to me when I was a kid. And if God is blah, 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 all knowing, blah, blah, whatever, worthy of running my life now, well, then why the bleep didn't God take care of me when I was being victimized in this profoundly traumatic way when I was young? Now, whether you feel that or not, or are consciously aware of it or not, I just want to suggest, if that's there, that energy can give, it's like almost a platform for the governor to live on. It's a reason for the governor to exist. It's a way of protecting. I'm saying protection and protecting as one word. It's a way of protecting. And the key here is, and only when you're ready, when you are able to be with that little girl who had a knife in her neck, and a young man who was saying, I'm going to kill you. If you can let yourself feel that fully and effectively fall apart, I think that may open something for you, and many other things may be released that either fit the puzzle or don't fit the puzzle as you perceive it now, but there will be a sense of support and resonance that is, I'm going to say, qualitatively different than an experience that's unfolding for you now. It's a lot of talking on my part. I want to just stop for a moment and see if any of that makes sense or is resonating for you.
See, I wanted to say it out loud because
Brilliant.
It's all that, the recognition,
Yeah.
somebody hearing it, somebody seeing it,
Yeah.
and coming and processing all of this stuff, because it's other stuff too.
Yeah.
And it's all timely for finishing this thing up. And I am going to just share it authentically and in a good, and it is what it is. I don't need to supervise it,
Exactly.
because a lot of kids go through this. A lot of kids have.
Exactly. Here's another thing too that you might consider or be open to. If writing is for you, then the only person who ever matters is your experience of what you're writing. And that can be a way of sort of loving and being present with yourself for you, rather than for other people's benefit or at the damage or disservice to others, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Beautiful.
It has to serve you first. It has to. The self-care thing is really coming up for me, and
it's huge.
It's
huge.
I'm getting it from everywhere. So it's me doing this and grabbing some attention now to really process all this stuff and write it authentically, and just see where it goes and just let it be what it's going to be. But I just having my moment in the attention circle. I should be okay. The drama circle. Okay.
Listen, be careful though. I'm hearing again, it's like a judgment thing that you're doing to yourself. That's how I'm hearing what you're saying. You don't have to judge yourself. Everyone has these aspects. It's why I refer to them as developmental, these stages of consciousness. We're all of us are in some form integrating the same exact themes. So being able to talk about them in the same way that it'd be like feeling uncomfortable talking about breathing. I mean, who's going to be uncomfortable talking about breathing? We're all breathing. It's no big deal. But we have all this charge around these other things because of this stage of consciousness and because of all the charge associated with it. But at least in this circle, or in the circles you're part of, this being one of them, my encouragement to you would be, consider that although the charge is related to your experience of it, the sharing of it is like breathing, right? The writing it down, writing offers a profound pathway for transmutation in and of itself. If you pay attention to the resonance or the dissonance in your being, however that shows up in your body or in your mind, in your awareness, you can actually become aware of as things are transmuting. And it's not an aspirational process. In other words, you're not writing to what you hope to be. You're writing the authentic expression of the noisiest version of the disempowered little girl. You give voice to that fully, and then you write it again and again and again, and eventually it expresses in this integrated way. And through that, a deeper connection to yourself, a deeper experience of self-love and self-care, and ultimately of divine love and divine care can come through that process. Yeah, this is brilliant, Annie.
For saying that, because it's helping me. It's a whole. It's been a whole. It's just what you're saying. I can see it now. It's what's going to happen. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Annie, thank you for sharing. I just want to thank you again for you and everyone who has shared today and who may be about to share.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Clint.
I almost hate to ask this question because it's kind of silly and sounds kind of egoic, but
okay.
When we're in group transmission, I'm usually working. That's just the time of day it is here, and I'm working. But part of me is in deep transmission with the group, and part of me is just in full flow doing my work, and part of me is thinking about the difference between and listening to what's going on and feeling what's going on. I don't know. So can you reflect on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Clint, let me ask you a question. Am I picking up that there's a sense of dissonance around this for you, or you're just observing and wanting some reflection?
Observing and wanting some reflection. It's just, it's just curiosity. That's why I hate to ask. It's just curiosity.
Oh no, curiosity is a great place from which to engage, I think. Listen, I think what you're reflecting is such a wonderful reflection of how life unfolds much of the time. I mean, to my view, what you're describing is, let's say, what's unfolding all the time for us, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And it seems to me that the invitation, the opportunity from an integration perspective would be to come to a single experience. But the fascinating thing is that a single experience might include all of the things that you're giving voice to, right? So,
Right.
so who's to say whether that's an integrated or an unintegrated experience? And I mean, for my part, I'm grateful that you're here and experiencing this however you are. And I mean, I could say more if it's interesting or helpful, Clint.
Yeah. Well, the part of me that's experiencing transmission is fully experiencing the transmission. That's
Sure.
the curious thing. It's just like, huh, okay, so how is that even possible when everybody says that if you're not all there, then you're not fully embodied and you're not fully, you know, I guess there is some dissonance there. I'm just, now that I get to thinking about it, because I keep hearing people say, well, if you're trying to do two things at once, and then you're not really meditating. And well, it sure feels like that part's meditating.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know if you can see my face, but there's wincing going on as you're talking, because I mean, you know, look, I sort of get the idea, here's how we do this and here are the rules. I understand that kind of thought process, and to some degree it makes sense to me. But, at the end of the day, we could get into such a sort of a meta cognitive exploration here. I mean, we could be talking, you could be saying, I'm having an experience of this timeline, of this expression of myself fully, while at the same time I'm aware of these other expressions of me. Some people might refer to those as other lifetimes that are unfolding concurrently. And somebody might come in and say, well, wait a second, if you're not having a singular experience of all that you are, then you're not fully embodied and present. Okay, but I mean, listen, if it's a continuum, I mean, I'm much more of the mindset that, and of the personality to celebrate what's unfolding and not be caught up in the things that appear or are experienced as fractured. And here's another thing just to throw into this little soup that we're brewing up here. In many experiences that I've had in union consciousness, I'm not having an experience of the totality as one. I'm having an experience of the totality that I can explore as I choose to engage with it, which, leaves open a tremendous congruence with what you're talking about and how you're giving voice to this.
Yes.
So
that's
my
that's
part,
my experience all the time.
Yeah. So for my part, what I would say is, I mean, I celebrate, I embrace what you're saying. I would encourage you, for whatever it's worth, to embrace and celebrate your experience of it. And as for whether it sustains or in what way it changes or evolves or shifts, I wouldn't approach any of that from a should, would, could, need to, disconnect from potential. I would just be with it and allow it to unfold and celebrate what's unfolding, which seems to me to be congruent with at least how I'm perceiving your perspective and your personality. That all seems right to me. I don't think there's anything, I don't, here's another way of saying this, Clint, which just to be more clear and more obvious. Bang, we're all in stage 4. Are we all having the same experience? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not even close, not even by a long shot. So if that's true, what value is there in setting, comparative standards now? I mean, you have your central nervous system and your awareness and so on. Hallelujah. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you sharing this. I think it's such an important point.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll continue doing what I've been doing.
Giddy up, man. Thanks for being here.
Oh, Ken?
Hi, Brian.
Hi. Well, I got a few interesting things that had come up in listening to your conversation with Clint and Annie. It may help in both regards and help to talk about it, open an interesting conversation. But Clint had said about, that whole paradigm of either being present, completely present, which I don't think in life we can be. I mean, we'd have to be meditating 24 hours a day, not doing anything to be completely present. But I've noticed as we continue these practices, things open up, our awareness grows. I mean, the other morning, for instance, I took a walk and though my mind was chattering away, I kept trying to draw myself into nature and be present, but my mind kept going off on tangents. But I realized along the walk, I noticed things I hadn't seen before. I saw a sign, an opening in a fence, a structure that I had walked by a million times and never noticed. That means my awareness is spreading. So you can do those two things at once. You can still have that growing awareness and not be what they call totally present. I mean, I think my impression from everything I've learned is that, meditation was a tool given us to sort of allow ourselves to be more present, to sort of calm the mind down and whatnot. But I think we're more gearing towards where spirit wants us to be more engaged in life, be present, have everything like a walking meditation sort of thing, if you encounter a difficult situation at work, you can't just say, oh, hold that thought and go into a room and sit on a pillow for 30 minutes and meditate on it. Life doesn't work that way. You've got to be able to deal with it in the moment. And I think those were tools great for, Buddhist monks, thousands of years ago, but were they really living life, living in a monastery, meditating, 20 hours a day, maybe just eating and going to the bathroom? Was that really life? Is that really living? It's like, that kind of thing. So maybe that'll help Clint out a little bit more too. But what you had talked about with Annie about writing, and putting your stuff out there authentically, just telling it how it is, exactly how you feel. I found that when I've read things from people that really put it out there like that, it makes more impact than if they try to doctor it up or clean it up or present it the way they think the world wants to see it. That they really, whatever in you resonates with whatever is affected them. If you went in a situation similar to what she had, that really resonates, that speaks to you, that forms that deep connection if it's truly authentic. I found that, emotions, expressing them, there's so much in spirituality out there now that says, oh, well, you can't be angry, you've got to channel it into positive thinking or you'll draw more of the same deal, all this stuff. But the truth is if it exists the way it exists, however you perceive it for whatever reason, I've realized that if you can sit with it, it usually dissolves. It's like layers of an onion. Like if I've sat with anger long enough, suddenly it peels back and suddenly I feel sadness underneath the anger. The anger dissipates if you feel it long enough. And sometimes that dissolves into fear. It sort of drills down, like just peeling the layers back of an onion until you get to the actual emotion. I participated in an exercise yesterday with someone that was like, okay, just speak your anger and speak your frustration. She was using expletive language and whatnot. I'm like, I don't really feel that way about it though. For some people that may be great, but I didn't really feel anger in that. I don't know if I'd worked past it or it didn't really speak to me. Sometimes talking like that actually makes me even angrier. It's like it's its own paradigm. But I've realized in my thing that, something I've noticed is when I get angry with people, if I'm having a conversation, if I get angry, it's not really about the person. Usually I find out afterwards because that person either wasn't being truthful, there was something about the situation that wasn't truthful, something that wasn't in alignment. And if I dig a little deeper, I can That's usually what it is. But I still react. I still, to this day, I'll get upset and I'll ponder about it for hours until I realize, oh, wait a minute, they weren't being honest with me, or the situation wasn't presenting itself the way it really was. It's not as it appears. And then usually the anger sort of dissipates once I realize that. But I still, it's a learning process, because to this day, I still have to, stop myself and realize that, even though it's 9 times out of 10, if I get angry, a conversation or interaction with someone, that's what it's about. But I still do it that way. But anyways, those were just reflections on those conversations, because they seem to, ask for something a little deeper. It certainly brought up stuff in me.
I appreciate you sharing, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a deep breath in and hold. And as you release this breath now, allowing all of the ideas and thoughts and perspective and emotion, control, allow all of that to flow out with the breath. And just feel as that sort of vacuum of desire to understand and all these other artifacts of separation, it's filled with divine presence, a mystery, unknowable yet experienceable. It need not be spoken of. Just to be present with it is enough. I invite you to return the universal plug. I'll do the same as I bring this transmission to a close for today. Grateful as always for the opportunity to sit and explore and resonate with you. Until we're together again very soon. Peace.
Ken?
Yeah?
Before you go, could you just turn off your camera so I could see the other picture?
Sure. There it is.
Marvelous.
Okay.